the World Bank, their job is to give you loans. Okay, so let's say you are China and you are poor, right? And you need to build dams. Well, the World Bank gives you money. And when it gives you money, what it does is it allows you to start playing this game, okay? It allows you to participate in this game. Now, what always happens is eventually the countries borrow so much money, they have to go into debt and they can't pay off the money, right? So then what happens is the IMF comes in and changes your government and its economic policies to make it conform more to the game. Okay, does that make sense? And its main mechanism is called privatization, all right? So what the IMF says is, okay, well, you're inefficient, you can't pay off the debt because you're inefficient because the public should not be controlled of the infrastructure. The public should not be controlled of water, okay? Private companies should be in charge of the water and electricity and the land, okay? So the goal of the World Bank and the IMF is to spread the game throughout the world, all right?
This helps me really understand regime change throughout the world. And if America is a colony of Israel and you go into different countries and put different leaders in charge, it really is to force them into playing this game, which is based off of like eventually, like if the American empire crashes, the entire world economic system crashes. All of the stock market, everything implodes. And then your money and everything you've been spending your life for is completely worthless.
Wait, so the harem is only 4, right, SNEAKO?
Well, you have to get married to them. It's not just a harem,
but is it 4? It is 4 though, right?
Well, I think it's like 99% of Muslims have one wife or a monogamous.
No. But is that like the number 4 for harem?
Well, that's the maximum amount you can have. Yeah.
The maximum? Good. I'll fucking throw this bitch off the balcony so quick. All right. I'll make you bitches the harem.
All right, you guys have fun tonight, okay? Do you think that call was like a good example of bad temptations trying to bring me in? Oh, stop learning. Don't do this. Don't stop trying to learn more. So, hey, come back to the dark.
Last class. So last class we discussed the British Empire.
Did we see this?
And how it ultimately triumphed over its main rivals, who were the French, the Spanish, and the Dutch, because of
you seriously
3
underperformed
major
with that IDF guy. Need to get points in line and cleaned up.
Where? At what point? We didn't see this yet? Cool.
powers, okay? The first is the Bank of England. What made the Bank of England so important is that it could absorb foreign capital, okay, from all around the world. So at first, it absorbed capital from the Dutch Republic.
So this is America's game, Game Theory 7, ahead of the Jiang collab, first one in a month. That is tomorrow.
But then if you were a French aristocrat, if you were the Catholic Church, if you're the Habsburgs, you could all move your capital to England where it would be safe because it would be protected by the law, okay? The idea of property rights. And when Britain became an empire, this was important because local elites in China, in India, in Southeast Asia would help the British because they were incentivized to do so. They could help the British steal from these places and then move capital, their wealth, to England or one of the British colonies for safekeeping, okay? So that's the source of English power. Second is the idea of soft power, right? So we are in school learning English because we want to go and study in the West. That's soft power, right? So Shakespeare, the BBC, Oxbridge are all components of British soft power, which still rules the world today. And the third, of course, is the British Navy, which controls sea lanes and therefore controls all trade. Okay? So for the longest time, for 100 years, Britain was able to maintain a global empire, which really was the first global empire because it spanned the entire world. But there were 3 problems or 3 limitations to the British Empire, okay? So the first major limitations, the first major limitation is that Britain had an ethnicity, it had a race. It was the white people, the Anglo-Saxons. And so even though Britain was
Jeff, thanks for 2 subs.
ruling over a vast global empire, it was very much racist. It saw itself as superior to everyone else, and that limited its capacity to work with local elites. Okay? So in other words, eventually India rebelled to establish its independence. And eventually Britain lost its overseas empire. A classic example, of course, is 2016 Brexit, when the English people decided that we no longer wanted to be part of Europe. Okay? And so even though Britain is an empire, its people are very provincial. Okay? They see themselves as better, and they see themselves as separate from everyone else. I've met English people who've told me, like, English people cannot learn a foreign language. People speak English very well, and that's it. They can't learn French, they can't learn Spanish, they refuse to learn Chinese. And they told me it's because their brains are different. Okay? Their brains are hardwired to speak English really well, and that's it. All right, so that's just the British attitude. Second problem is the idea of currency or wealth standard. And the idea here is that, okay, yes, you're stealing wealth from other places, but what is wealth, okay? And for the longest time, people understood wealth as gold. The problem with this is that there's a limitation, or there's a limit to the amount of gold in the world, and therefore there's a limit to how many people can participate in this game and how much money they can win in the end. Okay, so it's really a game only for the elite. That's the second major limitation. And the third problem for Britain is that it's really a small island with very few people and very limited resources. And therefore, it was really not sustainable for Britain to control the entire world. There's a limitation to its reach. And ultimately, other powers in Europe would arise to challenge British hegemony, including Russia, including Germany. Ultimately, the power that would overthrow the British Empire to create its own empire is, of course, America. And what America would do, that's very important, is resolve all three of these limitations to create a world game in which we all play today. Okay? So Britain
For
basically...
Jiang return, remember please bro to ignore kick chat some dot you can see your eyes watching.
Yep. Yeah.
this game, but there were limitations to how far this game could spread. America will then take the concept of this game and spread it all around the world until it conquered the entire world, okay? So how did they do so? All right, so let's go over America. Well, first of all, America's not a small island. It is a continental fortress. And in fact, it controls the entire Western Hemisphere. And we know that the Western Hemisphere is very, very wealthy, okay? So America is not just the country of America, it's really the Western Hemisphere. And as such, it has unlimited population, it has unlimited resources, it has unlimited land, okay? So this resolves the issue of resources, okay? Second problem, the currency. Well, what America would do that would revolutionize the world is make the US dollar the standard of wealth in the world. And because the US dollar is just a concept, it's just an idea, everyone can now play this game, and wealth can now be infinite, okay? But that makes sense, right? Before, gold was what everyone was playing for, but there's a limit to gold.
Because the USD is the world reserve currency, and it is the world reserve currency, and it's based off of nothing, it's really backed by force. It used to be backed by gold, but this unlimited wealth is just an idea backed by the American empire controlling the world.
But with US dollars, anyone and everyone in the world can now play, okay? So I'll talk about how the US dollar became the center of wealth in the world. Now, the ethnicity is another problem, okay? And so what America did that was very clever is tell the world we are not an ethnicity, okay? We're not a land. What we really are is a game, all right? So the idea is that America became a nation game, all right? So So this is pretty easy to understand, okay? So I'm gonna explain this first, and then I'm gonna explain how the US dollar came to dominate the world, okay? All right, so for the longest time, we had problems deciding what a game or a nation ought to be, okay? So traditionally, nations have been ruled politically through the monarchy, okay?
Ask Jiang about Tiananmen Square during the late 80s. Was it real or fake?
That's a good question. Remind me tomorrow.
An oligarchy, a democracy, or a theocracy, okay? So there are others, but these are the four major ones. A monarchy is very simple. A king is in charge. Everyone just obeys the king. oligarchy is where the nobility are in charge. Another name for
Oh, right, yeah, you're not supposed to ask Chinese people about that. The government can execute. Yeah, that's a bad idea.
oligarchy is the aristocracy, okay? And that's basically Rome.
Rome.
Democracy
Rome.
is where the people make all the decisions. And so what happens is that if a decision is to be made, people get together and they give speeches, and whoever gives the best speech gets the most votes. And then that decision is implemented, okay? And of course, the classic example of democracy is Athens. Okay? And then you have a theocracy, which is to say that the priests are in charge, and the priests represent the will of God. Okay? And of course, theocracy, the classic example is a Catholic Europe. This is medieval Europe when the Catholic Church was in charge. All right? But starting with the Enlightenment, when God was no longer considered that important, philosophers debated amongst themselves what a nation ought to be, what society ought to be. Okay? And so let's discuss the major theories of this time period. All right, so the first idea is if God doesn't really matter, okay, if it's up to humans to decide how to structure societies, how can you best do so? And at this time, the most popular idea is social contract theory. Social contract theory. And there are two major theorists. Okay? The first is John Locke, who of course is English. And for him, government, it's very simple, okay? Human beings have three fundamental rights that God gave us, okay? Which are inalienable, which means that no one can take away from us. The first is life, okay? The second is liberty, the right to say whatever we want, the right to do whatever we want. The third is the pursuit of property, wealth, okay? So they have private property. In other words,
happiness.
Government exists in order to protect the wealth that we generate for our hard work. And if we steal it, that's okay as well, okay? If we kill a lot of people in India, China, and France to get it, that's okay too, because it happened elsewhere, okay? All right? So, private property. And as you can imagine, if you have wealth, you like the system a lot. And not only that, but you are encouraged, you're incentivized to work really hard. And that's what actually allowed England to overtake the French, the Dutch, and the Spanish, okay? Then you have another theorist named Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And his theory is different, okay? It's also social contract theory, but it's a different idea, which is, okay, we're born in a state of nature. We have complete freedom. We can do whatever we want. So why do we choose to give up this freedom and come into society, okay? The reason why is, when we do so, we create a social contract that creates the general will. Okay? And the general will is a substitute for God. It is the expression of the best of who we are. Okay, do you understand? So by ourselves, we're fine, okay? When we come together, we create a new concept that allows us to be truly and fully human, the general will. So what is the general will? Okay, all right, so think of Immanuel Kant, who was a German philosopher, and he explained that the very basis of humanity, what we should all try to achieve, is something called the categorical imperative. Okay? The categorical imperative is the highest moral law. Right? It's really God's law. And there are three components to the categorical imperative, okay? The first is the idea of universality. Universality just means that, imagine this, whatever you do, everyone else around you will automatically do, okay? So if you want to go drink alcohol, everyone's gonna drink alcohol. Do you want to live in a society of alcoholics? Okay? If you cheat on a test, everyone immediately is gonna cheat as well. Do you want to live in a society of cheaters? Okay?
No.
If you read books, everyone else is gonna read books. So imagine that whatever you do will be replicated by everyone else immediately, okay? That's the idea of universality. Second is the idea of free will. Okay? I know that eating ice cream is bad. I know that eating protein, chicken, is good, okay? But I cannot be forced to eat chicken even though it's better for me. I have to choose to eat chicken by myself. If I want to eat ice cream, I can do that, okay? So we cannot coerce people to do what they do not want to do. All right? And number three is human is the end unto itself, okay? And the idea here is that you cannot use humans, a human being, to achieve a higher purpose, because humans are the ultimate purpose. So I can't be like a king and says, you know what, I'm gonna start a war to make a lot of money for everyone, and I'll sacrifice 50% of my people, but the other 50% who live will be happy, they'll live in paradise. You can't do that, okay? Because you cannot sacrifice anyone's life in order to achieve a higher end, because the ultimate end is the human life, okay? So that's the idea of the categorical imperative. And this becomes the theoretical basis for the general will, okay? Now in practical terms, how do you implement this in society? Well, the general will gives rise to government. And then the government gives rise to laws, okay? So the legitimacy of the government comes from the consensus of the people, which is the general will. The general will is not democracy, right? The general will is an abstract idea which represents the best of who we can be. All right? So just because everyone's like, okay, we should all vote to kill that person because we don't like him. No, that's not the general will. The general will is everyone is important. Do unto others as you would want others to do unto you. Okay? So you can't kill.
St. Cloud's calling? I don't see the call. Oh, he's calling.
That's crazy. You're living
What was that
life.
lecture?
Yeah. Tell me about that shit.
We're at the general will. Yeah, the general will.
I'm already knowing.
Okay. All right. Yo, SNEAKO. Hold on. Turning the camera on. Ooh, hold on. Yo, what's up?
Hold on, let me fix my.
Hold on. Let me turn you up a little bit. Your volume.
I can't
All right.
hear you, one second.
Talk. Why is it fucking so quiet? Hold on. God damn it. What the fuck is wrong with Discord? Is this volume fucked on Discord? Yeah, make your volume more if you can. More sound settings. Volume mixer. Maybe it's this?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
What up, Cloud? What you up to?
This is SNEAKO.
Hey, what's up?
SNEAKO. Nico.
What do you?
Damn, you're top 10. Holy shit.
What are you guys up to?
Okay, so we just wanted to say what's up because I heard you were on Monkey Gesture Maxing, so I was like, all right, let me just fucking hop in this guy's segment real quick. It's either this or I gamble.
I'm taking notes on a lecture right now. I'm learning about American and British Empire.
You're talking about the British Empire.
Yeah.
You need to start doing drugs again and denounce Islam.
I'm not gonna do that, bro. Never gonna happen.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Anyway.
how was your night? How's the Looks Maxing going? Ladies, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah,
I'm good.
So these are you're just some bitches that I fucking popped out with tonight. She's a tranny though, so
Yo!
Did you do a dick check?
I actually did, and she actually like pulled out her pussy and almost got me banned.
Yeah.
So it was a crazy stream, crazy ass fucking stream.
With Haley.
No, SNEAKO's too quiet. Make him louder. Hey, W Brock. All right, yeah, but so we basically were fucking around tonight doing a yacht. You gotta get back to Miami.
Yeah, where are you staying?
I'm in New York right now. It's starting to get a little warmer, but it's been inside.
Wait, so the harem is only 4, right, SNEAKO?
Well, you have to get married to them. It's not just a harem,
But is it 4? It is 4 though, right?
Well, I think it's like 99% of Muslims have one wife or a monogamous.
No. But is that like the number 4 for harem?
Well, that's the maximum amount you can have. Yeah.
The maximum? Good. I'll fucking throw this bitch off the balcony so quick. All right. I'll make you bitches the harem.
Well, transgenders are not allowed. You're not supposed to have.
Obviously, you're good looking.
No,
She looks like a dude.
Too. She does not look like a dude.
Maybe if you're homo.
You have a lot of tattoos,
real.
but you don't look like a man.
Yeah, you do not look like a dude. What the fuck?
She doesn't look like a dude. That's true. What? Okay. All right. Open it. All right. He's about to send. How do I? Oh yeah. Okay. Wait. Right now. What is this? What am I opening? Hold on. What the fuck? SNEAKO, give me 1 second. What? Why? You already sent that. Yeah. Damn, bit. Hold on, SNEAKO. Pull up my stream. SNEAKO. Damn. So you're a groupie thought.
Club, I'm not, I promise.
You're not a groupie thought?
No, never.
You're gesture maxing for 10 viewer kick streamers. 10 viewers, 9 bots, no chat activity. That's who you're being a groupie for. All right, kick groupie. We already have Alice. We don't need another one. Busted. Look at that. Whoops, busted.
Hold on.
That moment when you
Wait,
realize
so
you
she's a groupie
fucked
for
up.
who? What happened? What's the? I saw the pictures. I don't understand the groupie thing going on. Fucking one sec. The Discord fucked up. Hold on. You cut out 1 sec.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, whatever. That's why I fucked other bitch, not you.
Oh my god.
Fuck you.
That's crazy.
All right.
Wait,
Am I jealous? No, of course I'm not jealous.
Who's the groupie thought of the four?
Yeah, why are you calling us bitches? Like,
What? Who are you a groupie for?
Huh?
Who is she a groupie for?
50 viewer kick streamers. I couldn't even tell you the name exactly. That's how you know you fucked up.
Okay.
I don't even know who that was.
Well, how old are you?
It was a nigga with an Android. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck? Like, are you retarded? Bro didn't even have the live view, the TVU.
Fuck.
Bro streaming on a fucking phone, 2,000 bit rate, and you said, "Oh, let me go hold his hand and not hang out with Clav."
I'm sorry.
Even if I'm with other bitches, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
What about your girls?
You're better off being one of 8 than one of one.
Okay,
A
let's
fucking
calm down.
10 viewer.
Let's calm down.
I'm calm. I'm calm as fuck. Okay, I don't get calmer than this. Android is literally better than you live. What? Cope. SNEAKO, you got to start going IRL more.
Or how old are you, ladies?
Oh, don't ask that question. All right, mute. I'll tell you off stream. Yeah, hey, we're streaming with Teal Mike, so if that answers your
Who
question.
is Heel Mike? I want to
The
know.
guy right behind you from before that I was gambling with. I'm just kidding. They're all 21. I ID'd them all, so let's see.
Just tips.
All right.
$2.
What?
Oops, busted.
I'm not mad. I don't get mad. No, I'm actually feeling really good. I've got this hot girl on my dick.
All right, you guys have fun tonight, okay?
I'll see you.
Anyone, okay? And if people vote for this, the government is illegitimate because it goes against your general will. As you would want others to do unto you, okay? So you can't kill anyone, okay? And if people vote for this, the government is illegitimate because it goes against your general will. All right? And this is important for us because this becomes the basis of the French Revolution. And the French Revolution, the entire European continent, okay, including Britain, Prussia, Austria, Russia, everyone got together and attacked France. France was poor. France had no monarchy. But France defeated everyone. Why? Because people were energized to fight for their nation. They believe that I am now part of a greater good. I have equity in this game. Therefore, I will defend this nation with my life. And France, for the longest time, was unbeatable on the battlefield. Okay? All right? So that is the French conception of a nation. A nation is a social contract which guarantees rights to its citizens. And in return, its citizens must be willing to sacrifice its life for the nation. And that's why the French Revolution was so successful, which ultimately led to the French Empire under Napoleon. Okay, does that make sense? Now, there's another conception of the nation state, which is this. Okay? And these are the Prussians, or the Germans, okay? And it's the idea of iron and blood. So a nation is not something that you choose to get into, okay? It's not something that you start in contact with. A nation is in your blood. A nation is language, heritage, land, okay? And you prove that you are worthy by sacrificing yourself in battle. Okay? This comes to us from the German Republic. In 1870, okay?
Yeah, so the time changed. Did we already hit daylight savings?
Franco-Prussian War between Prussia and France, these two concepts of the nation state came into battle, okay? The French was a social contract. You fight for us because you agree to be a citizen of this nation, which guarantees you certain rights. Prussia is like, no, you fight because it is your duty to fight, because it is in your blood, it is in your language, it is in your culture, it is in your family. And And then when these two cultures clashed, it was the Prussians who won. And that created, of course, Germany. Okay, so in 1870, the modern nation of Germany was founded by the Prussians when it defeated France in the Franco-Prussian War. All right, so now we go to America. Okay, and America has a different conception of the nation state. Okay, so at this time in history, first of all, America is a very small place, 13 colonies. And the colony is controlled by these indigenous people. The French are there, the Spanish are there, okay? But the Americans are very, very ambitious. And they are expanding really, really fast. And Britain, the home country, actually becomes afraid of America. Because at this time, about the 1700s, America has more people, it's wealthier. It's welcoming people from all around Europe. And so Britain tries to limit the expansion of America. Okay? It tries to say you can't cross the certain line, the Appalachian Mountains. And America says, screw you, we're going to revolt. Okay? And this creates the American Revolution. And in 1789, America creates the Constitution, which becomes the highest law in the land. And so at this point in history, the American founding fathers, they look around the world, they know about the British system, they know about the French system. They're trying to grow the country as fast as possible. They have to fight the Spanish, the French, the British, and the indigenous people in their land. They're trying to welcome as many people as possible, okay? So they decide...
Do you think that call was like a good example of like bad temptations trying to bring me in? Oh, stop learning. Don't do this. Don't stop trying to learn more. So, hey, come back to the dark. It was a good example of that. Like I'm in the midst of this learning more. Hey, we don't, but yeah.
That the nation will become a game. Okay, a game where the citizen is a player. And the citizen is trying to maximize his wealth. Okay? And through this process of maximizing his wealth, trying to get as much wealth as possible, he will be energetic. He will work hard. And this energy will contribute to the overall wealth of the nation, which will allow America to grow very, very fast. Okay? That's a plan. All right? So for this to work, they have to construct a game that has three major characteristics. All right? The first is that it has to be open, meaning anyone can come and play. Okay? But that just means also limiting the history and the ethnicity of the place. Okay? So the concept that America creates is the idea of melting pot. We welcome anyone who comes to America, regardless of your race, regardless of your history, regardless of your wealth, as long as you're willing to assimilate into America, into the melting pot, okay? That's the first idea. Second idea is fairness. And the third is clarity. So in other words, people are willing to play a game and work really hard to win this game if, first of all, they can play this game, they're allowed to play this game, they're not discriminated against. Also, if the rules are really clear, okay, you understand what the rules are. In America, the rules are very simple. You go to America, you follow the law, you work really hard, you get rich, okay? Really simple. It's called the American dream, right? And the third thing, of course, is that the game is fair, meaning the only criterion to generate wealth is how hard you work, how much talent you have, how much merit you have, right? The idea of merit. Okay? And look, this is true. When you go to America, you will discover this. If you work really hard, if you're really talented, if you're really smart, they will respect that, okay? I've been to a lot of countries, and I can tell you that in America, this is true. But it's not true in Canada. I grew up in Canada, and they don't really care if you're ambitious. They really don't care if you're smart. They don't care if you work hard. They don't care. They expect you to follow the rules and conform, okay? That's Canada. You go to China, okay? We all know what China is, okay? No one cares if you work hard. No one cares if you're smart. No one cares, okay? It's all about your guanxi, about your family, okay? But it's true.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have picked up that call. Maybe there was also a temptation. I don't know if some viewers decided to go off because we've been very focused this stream. I hope putting that on stream didn't take people away. But it is an idea of a test. But it's not that deep. No, it of course, yeah, it's not that deep. It's just a little call, but there is a lesson in there.
Actually, this is true for most of the world. And I would say that the idea of merit is only true for two places. America is the most obvious example, okay? I've been to meetings where at first Americans are like, this guy's Chinese, he doesn't speak any English, he's not that smart, okay? So there's discrimination going on. But the moment I speak, the moment I try to make my case, they are won over by my logic, okay? By my arguments, by my creativity. And they welcome me into the club. That's just the American attitude of being open-minded, of being generous, of appreciating talent above everyone else, okay?
And what he's saying applies, like that visual, you know, Americans, it was all white people there. It's like there's a war going on in Iran. Lebanon was just attacked. America's fighting this war. And look at the difference. It's, the people in Iran right now are in the same war, same conflict, and it's probably on their mind every second of the day. And America's fighting this war with the citizens. It just seems like they have no idea. You look at that visual, it's like it's not even happening.
The English are also very similar in that way, in that, yeah, maybe they're racist, but if you can make a good argument in front of them, they will accept your argument, okay? But guess what, guys? Nowhere else is this true, okay? In China, you have the best argument in the world. No one cares, right? Okay? So there are lots of issues with America, but in all honesty, America is a place that really does appreciate merit and which really does reward merit. That's why everyone wants to go to America, all right? All right, so the question then is, how did America create the system? Okay, well, it did so through the Constitution. The idea of the Constitution is to create a game and make this game above power, okay? And how they did that is creating a system of government that checks and balances each other. So you have the president, you have the Congress, okay? And you have the Supreme Court. Okay, the Supreme Court is very simple. It's to interpret the Constitution, which is the highest law in the land, okay? And then the powers of the government are divided equally amongst these different branches. So the Congress can create laws and control spending, okay? Or what's called the purse. The president has war powers, basically, or the sword. Okay? But if the president were to declare war, he needs Congress to approve, because Congress has to give the money to start the war. Okay? And the idea that the Constitution is the highest law in the land means that it's really rule of law. Okay? So even though you have this government system in place, you also have another parallel system called the judiciary, the court system, which protects property rights in the same way that they do in Britain. Okay, does that make sense? So the very idea is that this is a game, the government is a system to maintain the openness, clarity, and fairness of the game. And because of this, America was very quickly able to dominate the world. Okay? The thing about this game, okay, that's very important for us to understand is it is expansionist. Okay? So what happened is that in its history, America faced certain challenges to this game, and this game won out every single time, okay? So the first major challenge to this game is called the American Civil War. All right, so let me explain what happened. From 1861 to 1864, the Civil War was fought between the North and the South. This was a clash of economic systems, okay?
Yeah.
So the North...
When I was a kid, I don't know about you, but they said that this war was all about slavery, but it was really about wealth.
played the game, okay? And so we believed in free labor. The South was its own independent economic system that focused on agriculture. And so it used slave labor. For many Americans in the North, slave labor was offensive because it corrupted the game, okay? Because remember, America was founded on the idea of openness, fairness, and clarity. But if you're a slave, that's not fair, okay? Because you were born a slave and you can never participate in this game. And so they fought a civil war to decide who will triumph in the end. And of course, the North won because the North focused on free labor. So that meant that there were more people in the North. That meant that the North was wealthier because of manufacturing. And that meant that the North were more energetic. Okay? So they defeated the South. And so,
is it weird to learn about American history from a Chinese guy?
so that was the first major challenge. Now the game is spreading, okay? It spreads across America, and now it stops because America can't expand anymore, okay? It basically conquers the West. And now the game is an issue because of the nature of money. The problem with money is that ultimately, the longer you play this game, at the end of the game, one person controls all the money. Okay, does that make sense? That's a problem with capitalism. That's a problem with this game. So now that the frontier has been settled, now that the borders have been controlled, a few people are now controlling all the money, which leads to the Great Depression, okay? So now the solution is America has to go and conquer the world, which it does, okay? In World War II, America conquers the world. And so now what America needs to do is spread this game throughout the world. And it does that by creating the US dollar, okay? So 1945, America wins the war. A year before, in July 1944, for 1 month, what happens is that America organizes something called the Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire, okay? And the idea of the Bretton Woods Conference
I used to snowboard there in high school in Bretton Woods. This is a big ski and snowboard resort, huh?
to establish the world game, okay? Before, America's game was limited to America, but now America wants to scale its game to the entire world, okay? So how does it do that? Well, first thing it does is it makes the US dollar the reserve currency of the world. All right? What does that mean? It means that every other currency has to be derived from the US dollar. Every other currency will find value from the US dollar. Okay? Which means that if you have Canadian dollars, you can now change it for US dollars, which is what's valuable. The Canadian dollars is just not valuable, okay? All right? They also agree on exchange rate. Okay? Okay, does that make sense? Okay? And this is a system that we have today, okay? All right? The global reserve currency is the US dollar. That's what's valuable. The renminbi derives its value from its relationship with the US dollar. The renminbi is not valuable by itself, okay? All right, that's number one. Okay, so now you're like, wait a minute here.
Someone said the Jew dollar. I mean, yeah, control Rothschild central bank system. It's that is a really good example of something that they would call anti-Semitic for saying that overwhelmingly control the banks and finance. But is it not true?
This is true. The US dollar the Americans can just print as much money as they want. And so to solve this problem, the Americans said, the US dollar will be pegged to gold. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, meaning like you can always take your US dollar and change it for gold. And because there's a limit to gold, there has to be a limit to the US dollars, which keeps the system stable. Okay? All right, that's number one. Number two is
Not anymore.
America needs to expand this game, okay? Because it is in competition with the Soviet Union, which is against this game, okay? So it creates two new organizations to spread the game throughout the world. And these two organizations are called the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, okay? So, for the sake of simplicity, okay, understand this. The World Bank, their job is to give you loans. Okay, so let's say you are China and you are poor, right? And you need to build dams. Well, the World Bank gives you money. And when it gives you money, what it does is it allows you to start playing this game, okay? It allows you to participate in this game. Now, what always happens is eventually the countries borrow so much money, they have to go into debt and they can't pay off the money, right? So then what happens is the IMF comes in and changes your government and its economic policies to make it conform more to the game. Okay, does that make sense? And its main mechanism is called privatization. All right? So what the IMF says is, okay, well, you're inefficient. You can't pay off the debt because you're inefficient. You're inefficient because the public should not be controlled of the infrastructure. The public should not be controlled of water, okay? Private companies should be in charge of the water and electricity and the land, okay? So the goal of the World Bank and the IMF is to spread the game throughout the world, all right? Okay, then in 1947, they create something called a GATT.
This helps me really understand regime change throughout the world. And if America is a colony of Israel and you go into different countries and put different leaders in charge, it really is to force them into playing this game, which is based off of like eventually, like if the American empire crashes, the entire world economic system crashes. all of the stock market, everything implodes. And then your money and everything you've been spending your life for is completely worthless. Isn't that incredible? That if U.S. is a colony of Israel, which it is, and Israel is using America to fight all their global conflicts, one, they are incentivized to get America to fight wars to expand Greater Israel, but also to enforce this through the USD, the World Reserve Currency. Oh, Clav, thanks for the raid. 9,400. Welcome, Clav viewers. We're learning about the World Reserve Currency.
Okay, the GATT is a general agreement on tariff and trade. So this is the WTO basically, okay? Let's change it into the WTO in 1995. All right, so it's basically an agreement on free trade. Okay, does that make sense? 1973, SWIFT. SWIFT is an agreement amongst different banks in the world on how to transfer money, okay? So, for example, if you want to transfer money...
Welcome, Cloud viewers. We're IQ maxing. So this is one of our segments. I've been live for 7.5 hours. Instead of looks maxing, we try to IQ max. So Professor Jiang is one of the professors that I've been listening to, been also listening to others, but mainly Jiang. He's going to come on the stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And look at this saying, yeah, bye, I'm bored already. This is not the content that maybe a lot of you guys were... But he rated with 9,000 viewers from Cloud Stream who were just watching like the girls and gambling, and immediately 6,000 people left. Immediately 6,000 people left. So, oh my God, you're bored? Well, yeah, welcome. We're trying to learn something. And again, don't take anything Professor Jiang says 100%. He is a professor. This stuff is his opinion. You know, take in different sources, read different things. It's good to listen to different people.
From China, RMB into America to go to university, right? Guess what, guys? Let's go for SWIFT, okay? So now it allows for more cooperation among banks in the world to use US dollars, all right? Now, the last thing is, okay, how do these countries get together and decide on how to cooperate economically? And the answer is the Bank of International Settlements, okay? Okay, and the idea is that the central banks of different countries get together and they agree on certain policies, all right? And it's all done privately, in secret. No one knows about them, okay? All right, so this is the...
You're saying politics is just maxing? This is history maxing. This is the system that we all live and die for, risking your life and spending your life trying to make this money. So it's important to know how the system works. So many people, I mean, the majority of people spend their whole lives fighting for this and they have no idea what's behind it. It is funny to imagine like the people that were just watching this stepping into the stream. Oh, okay, they all just left.
Game that America creates. It's very simple, okay? And there are other components, but we'll focus on this now. Throughout the semester, we will focus on how this game is played specifically. But first, I just introduce it to you. All right? Okay. So now let's talk about how the US dollar conquers the world. All right. So for the longest time, this system works well. Okay, the United States is in competition with the Soviet Union, but over time, the Americans start to abuse this system. So they pay for things they can't really pay for. For example, the war in Vietnam. For example, the space race. For example, something called the Great Society. Okay, they're just spending too much money, and other countries start to freak out. So
what's this mail?
Bow down to Israel. Fuck Israel. They're a bunch of jokers. They want us to fucking fight for a war that we don't even want to be in. Fuck you, you Zionist fucks. Fuck you, bitch.
We need money. We need
Fuck
money
you,
oil cars.
bitch.
We need money in
Hey,
oil
is that your
cars.
stupid pill? You
No!
red and now you just
Because we're gonna go to war for these fucking Zionist
Yes, but we need
fucks.
money in oil cars.
Fuck them all, money. Fuck
We need
Israel,
money in
bro.
oil cars. We need
Fuck
to
it.
fight
I don't
for
give a
them.
fuck
We
about
need to
that
fight
oil.
for them. We need money in oil cars.
I don't give a fuck. We don't need Israel's oil money. Fuck Israel.
Yes, we do.
Fuck
No,
Israel,
we need
bitch.
France basically withdraws all its gold from the United States. So in 1971, what Nixon does is say, you know what? Here's the secret, guys. We actually don't have enough gold to pay off everyone, okay? So screw this. We're not going to peg the gold, the dollar to gold anymore, okay? Do you understand? you can now no longer redeem your US dollars for gold. It's done. Okay? So now what happens is the US dollar becomes a Ponzi scheme. All right? What is a Ponzi scheme? A Ponzi scheme is basically the US dollar is valuable because people want to use it. Do you understand? There's no value in itself.
This is why I think it's so silly when people say that you have to boycott. You have to boycott. Don't drink Coca-Cola. It's like the whole entire world is buying into this giant pyramid scheme scam. Like we're all complicit in this. There's literally no way to avoid it. The entire world. Like boycott Sprite. Like what? Boycott currency? You can't live without being part of the system. Everyone's involved.
It's only valuable because people want to use it. So now Nixon has to go and create demand for the US dollar, right? So the first thing he does is he goes to Saudi Arabia.
I know boycotts work, but it's like if you want to boycott, you have to boycott everything.
And he creates something called a petrodollar.
Now, W. Clav in the chat.
Right? The idea of the petrodollar is very simple. Saudi Arabia, which is the largest oil exporter in the world, will only accept payment in US dollars. Therefore, if you want oil, you have to have US dollars, okay? That's the first thing that Nixon does. The second thing that Nixon does is actually even more important. What does he do? Do you guys know? He visits China, okay? Not only does he visit China, but he's established a framework in which America will give China everything, okay? In the 1980s, what happens? America gives China its market access, right? Now, US consumers can buy goods from China. That's a huge deal, guys, okay? That's number one. Number two is America gives China FDI, technology, education.
What is he writing? I can't read his
All right?
handwriting.
Imagine what happens. America gives foreign investment to China, gives all this capital to China, gives all this technology to China, right? All these military secrets that America has, it gives to China for free. And not only that, but America educates the Chinese elite. Okay, 1980s, all these Chinese students for grad school go to America to learn American technology. Okay? And the third thing, and this is the most important, is military protection. All these conflicts that China has with Southeast Asia, with Japan, Vietnam, America will now protect China. When Chinese ships export goods to Europe, Africa, and the United States, the US Navy will now protect these Chinese ships. Okay, do you understand? And you're like, oh my God, America gave China everything. America made China rich. Why would America do that? And there's one answer, and only one answer. It's to make China use US dollars. Okay? It's that simple. Okay? So now when China trades with the world, it gets US dollars in return. You understand? Okay? And the entire idea is to make the world addicted to US dollars. And now that the world is addicted to US dollars, now that the world depends on US dollars, America can now control the global economy, okay? So in 1991, the Soviet Union collapses. Okay? And now America is the only game in town. There's no one who can challenge the supremacy of the Americans. And so now what happens is America creates something called the New World Order. The New World Order is based on global trade. But because the United States controls the US dollar, it can now control something called pricing. Pricing just means that the Americans can decide the value of everything, okay? So what America does is create a price hierarchy. So at the very bottom are resources. Above that is manufacturing. Then there's knowledge. And then finance. Okay? This is the price hierarchy for the world. All right? And it divides the world into a division of labor. Okay? So what is resources? Well, guys, it's Russia. Okay? Does that make sense? Russia, Africa, South America. What's manufacturing? China. What's knowledge? Europe. And what is finance? America. Okay? Does that make sense? So what's going to happen is that America is going to take its manufacturing and transfer it to China. Okay? Because it's cheaper for China to do it than for America to do it. And all America's going to do is finance. Okay? What is finance? Finance is just the creation of money for the purpose of creating more money. Right? Okay, so this is the system in place. And at first, it sounds great because everyone's making money, okay? But there are inherent instability in this system, okay? And we will discuss all this instability throughout the semester. But for the sake of simplicity, let's talk about America. What happens when you focus on finance is that you become a speculative economy. You focus on gambling, okay? Basically gambling. And this leads to something called the 2008 Great Financial Crisis, when the American economy collapsed, okay? And at this time, the entire world economy should have collapsed. And so what happened was, all these central banks from around the world came together in Basel, Switzerland, the Bank of International Settlements, okay? Right? The secretive body in which all economic policies are made. And they decide the only way to save the world is if China spends money. Do you understand? Why do we have all these skyscrapers? Why are there all these airports? Why are all these high-speed railways? Because China, to save the global economy, is actually investing in infrastructure, okay? And Belt and Road Initiative. And that saved the global economy. Now, after China did this, China developed a lot of debt, okay? And China basically said to the world, listen, we saved the global economy, so we deserve a seat at the table, right? We deserve to be equals to America. And so we're gonna sell our products, our Huawei phones around the world. We're gonna compete with America for global dominance. And America said, screw you, okay? And that led, of course, to Donald Trump, 2016, Donald Trump. And the first thing Donald Trump did, of course, was initiate the US-China trade war, right? China wants to be equal to America. America says, nope, screw you, we're gonna destroy you, okay? So America tried to sanction China. America tried to blockade China, okay? So we'll discuss this again later on throughout the semester, okay? Then what happened, of course, is 2022, Russia invades Ukraine, okay? So what Russia's saying is, you know this price hierarchy? Screw this, okay? Because guess what happens, guys? If you don't have any resources, this system doesn't work, okay? Try manufacturing without any resources. Try having knowledge about resources. Try having finance about resources, okay? So when Russia invades Ukraine, it's trying to control the resources of Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine together controls 1/3 of the world's carbohydrates. Africa, the Middle East, starves to death without Russian and Ukrainian grain, okay? Does that make sense? So now this entire system is in jeopardy, okay? And so what's happening today is America is fighting to save its game. It's trying to fight to save the system. It's trying to fight to save the US dollar. It's trying to fight to save its hegemony, okay? And Russia and China are trying to exert themselves. So we are in a time of game reset, right? Game reset. And this is the world that we live in today, okay? All right.
Great.
So we will discuss this throughout the semester. Any questions? Are you guys clear? Okay. So I know this was a lot to take in, but we'll go into the specifics throughout the semester, okay? We'll go and we'll apply it to current events.
Chad, where would you guys go if this entire system fails? Where would you go?
Explain why this is happening. Any questions?
Come on, Amber.
Okay.
Dubai, it's getting bombed right now. Mecca, Medina. Then you're still Saudi would definitely suffer greatly if the USD collapses. Poland, I didn't like Poland too much, a little bit boring. Japan is a good one. China, it's hard to really immigrate there. I want to be able to speak English with people. South Africa, North Korea. Can you even move to North Korea? Turkey, Venezuela.
So the only purpose of America, like they produce a service for China, is to let them use US dollars, right? So America can use this game to everyone. But
Yeah, drink that water.
I think China does not do the same thing as America. Like they created this game. Why?
Okay. All right. So,
Chad, are there like, how many students are in this class? It's always the same 2 people asking questions. Like, is this a class with like 4 people? How many?
we'll discuss this throughout the semester, okay? The relationship between China and the United States. So remember that the United States wants China to play this game. But they can't really say to the world, oh, we're doing this because we're greedy and we want China to be subservient to us, okay? So they said that we want China to play the game because this game will allow the middle class to rise. It will make China much more democratic, okay? But that was just BS. That was just a fraud, a lie, hypocrisy. All right, so now that China is in this game,
Ask him
all right,
Mario.
what it's trying to do is restructure the game so that it's much more independent, okay? Because the problem for China is, okay, to play this game, what you're doing is you're taking resources, right? You're creating manufacturing exports, okay? And so that's the role of China in this game. There's certain problems with this game. The first problem is America controls the entire game, right? So America can say, you know, we don't like you, so you can't trade anymore. So basically they stop, they limit the resources and they limit the market access, okay? So what China needs to do to survive is the idea of diversify. Create markets outside of the United States. Create like 5 resources that are not dependent on the US. Okay, so that's a game that China is playing, and that's the idea of BRICS. Okay, and we'll discuss BRICS later on. Right? But the BRICS is a very different concept where before America was trying to impose its game on everyone. Now China is just trying to create a system that is not so dominated by the Americans. Okay, that's the Chinese mentality. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Any more questions, guys? Okay, great. So we'll continue this on Thursday. Okay.
Okay, let's go over this real quick. This is a good lecture to go over. See these notes from today. So this is it starts right here. So America's game, I'll say history of the USD. So the British Empire was based on these 3 systems. It was based on the Bank of England, soft power, media, and the British Navy controlling the sea lanes and trade. The limitations of the British Empire were 3 things. The ethnicity, the belief of a superior white race. India rebelled against the whites. British refused to collab with other races. Watch people say W for that. Well, it led to their downfall. That's an example of hubris. The other limitation was currency, was wealth based on gold. They only maintained wealth to the elite class. The third limitation was that England is a small island. It's easy to attack by Germany and France. America answered all 3 of these limitations. America controls entirety of the wealthy Western Hemisphere. Unlimited resources land in Western Hemisphere. USD becomes the currency of the world. It's based on an idea. Wealth becomes infinite. Can print more. Entire world now plays this game. Ethnicity idea. American is not an ethnicity, it's a nation game. So anybody can immigrate. A foreign ambition. The 4 ideas of empire are the monarchy, oligarchy, democracy, and theocracy. The oligarchy, he didn't specify monarchy, but oligarchy is Rome, democracy is Athens, theocracy is Catholic EU. 4 ideas of empire, this is his examples. Monarchy, he didn't specify, but. And then there's the social contract theory developed by John Locke. He pushed this idea. Locke develops the idea of life, liberty, and pursuit of wealth. But they say it's pursuit of happiness, but Jiang says pursuit of wealth. England took over French, Dutch, and Spanish with this theory of life, liberty, pursuit of wealth. Rousseau developed the idea, and this is like Enlightenment ideas. I'll specify it. Enlightenment era arrives. England, then we have Rousseau, the idea of unlimited freedom. Rousseau develops the idea of general will. Kant he develops the basis of humanity is categorical imperative, meaning categorical imperative is the highest form of law, God's law, defined by, I'll write here, defined by the Catholic Church, which spreads around the world. This is the idea of universality. Number one, whatever most people do is what's true. What you do is what's true. The idea of free will. It's on a different line. Free will cannot impede on humans' ability of free will. The third idea, humans will usher in the end of the world. I think that's what he said, but we'll put it in parentheses. Well, I'll say accelerate. These ideas create the basis of the French Revolution. Every European empire attacked the French. The French won because they were energized to defend their nation. They loved their nation. They were a proud people. French Revolution led to French Empire and Napoleon. Iron plus blood. In 1870, the French were fighting for something greater. The Prussians were fighting because it was their duty. The Prussians won. This nation eventually became Germany. Then Britain tries to limit the expansion of America. In 1789, America creates the Constitution. It's the highest law of the land. Law of the land. Capitalism is developed from the Constitution and American ideas. The idea that the player trying to maximize his wealth. It's defined by these three ideas. Open society, idea of a melting pot, fairness, merit, and clarity. Open society, fairness, clarity. Keeps repeating these three ideas. Creates the idea of the American dream, rewarding merit. If you work hard and are talented, people will respect this and you'll be rewarded in America. An example, Canada does not care about ambition, they care about conformity. America has the idea of constitution above everything. It goes to president, then Congress, then government. Congress creates the law, presidents have the sword. President wields the sword. Can declare war. The Constitution ensures openness, fairness, and clarity of this game. In 1861 to 1864, the American Civil War starts between the North and the South. What happens between the North and the South? North has idea of free labor, South idea of slave labor. The North is offended by slavery because slavery is not fair. Problem of capitalism is one person controls all the money. Obviously, the North wins. I'll write this down here. Is one person controls all the money. In World War II, America conquers the world. End of 1945. July 1944, America organizes the Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire. This is where I used to snowboard. USD is created, reserve currency of the world. Every other currency is derived from the USD. Exchange rate derives back to the USD. USD originally, I always wondered this as a kid. And now I understand it. I was like, why is the US, but yeah. USD is originally based on gold to keep the system stable. The World Bank works with the IMF. Their job is to give you loans. When the banks cannot pay you back, the IMF forces you to play into this game. The IMF goal is to control the world of this game. What is the definition of IMF? What does this abbreviate to? IMF is the International Monetary Fund, global organization of 109 countries established. Okay. International Monetization. I already forgot what it stood for. IMF is the International Monetary Fund. Please fit. Oh my God. International Monetary Fund forces the world into Monetary Fund. How do I abbreviate this? I wrote this twice. I gotta say to this. IMF is the International Monetary Fund, 109 countries involved. 1947, you have the GATT, Agreement on Free Trade. What does GATT stand for? GATT is the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. And this is developed post-World War II. He's fit. Oh, motherfucker. treaty from 1947 to 1994. The third way that America conquers the world post World War II is development of SWIFT in 1973 allows more countries. It's a transaction, right? So, yeah, it's like transaction fees. Then the USD conquers the world. 1971, Nixon realizes there is not enough gold to pay everyone. USD becomes a Ponzi scheme. Saudi Arabia uses the petrodollar. The idea that Saudi Arabia is the biggest oil trader in the world, exclusively using petrodollar, USD. Nixon visits China. America gives capital and tech to China. America gives military secrets to China for free. America gives China education. America gives military protection to China. America protecting China against Vietnam and Japan. America patrolling the seas, right? America makes China rich so they use USD. China trades with the world with USD. The idea is to make the world addicted to USD. America now controls the entire global economy. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapses. No empire challenges America. Pricing. America determines the value of everything. Price hierarchy. It goes finance, knowledge, manufacturing, resources. Resources come from Russia. Manufacturing comes from China. Knowledge comes from Europe. Finance comes from the US. The hierarchy goes this way. Finance, knowledge, manufacturing, resources. Gambling is the cause of the 2008 housing crisis. And I'll put in parentheses. What was the loans called? They specified this in The Big Short. What was it called? Subprime mortgages. Yeah, subprime mortgages. China could save the world if they spend money to pay off debt. I'll put this, I added this, just clarifying. The USD should have collapsed after the 2008 crash. China developed a lot of debt post 2008. China says, we deserve more credit for saving the global economy. America says, screw you, China. Oh, mother, what the? And maybe this is Chinese bias. Remember, Jiang can't trust everything. Save the world. America says, screw you, China. Then Trump takes charge. China, 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 China. America tries to prevent China from growth, tries to sanction China. 2022, Russia goes to war with Ukraine. Russia says, screw this game. Screw this USD game. Russia and Ukraine control 1/3 of the world's carbohydrates, and they feed Africa. They control a lot of food. Today, America trying to save USD game by any means necessary. Today, potential game reset. I want to put this in one line. Oh, motherfucker. No! How do I fit this? Today, potential game reset. BRICS. China's response. China's answer to USD dependence. No! Yes. There we go. Perfect. I love that. All right, I'm going to post these notes real quick in the Twitter com. I'll pin it in the chat. Great lecture again. That was better than I expected. You didn't explain the social contract? What was the social contract? I think these are good notes. This is some good information. And he's very factual. He's not opinion based on this one. I think this was very good. What was the social contract that I missed? It's important to know, especially with this war. Yeah, Sharpies, what did I miss with the social contract? What did you say? So all this shit all started once Trump was elected? No, it started much before. It started long before. It started when the creation of the United States. Even the history follows, you know, the social contract theory of John Locke. I don't even know. Someone just posted Pornhub in here. Okay, you're banned. Why are this dude's spamming a Pornhub link and you guys aren't banning him? Trying to learn about the USD. It's like, oh, kick. All right, so here's the. All right. There you go. Also put in the community if you guys want to get read over these notes. Good lecture. Very good. I think that's the only lecture we'll watch for today. Pin in community. Yeah.